All right, hello everyone. Today we are doing proportions day 2 notes. So last lesson we had just simple proportions like 2 over 5 is equal to x over 10, and we solved for that missing variable like you did on your warm-up. Today it's getting a little more tricky, and we'll use the distributive property within that cross multiplication method. So number 1 here, we have 3/5 x equals 7 over 12. This x needs to go in our numerator. So I'm going to rewrite this. Okay, so now the x is in the numerator. I can now cross multiply and then solve. So 3 times 12, we get 36x, and then equals 35. All right, so we will divide by the number in front of x. So we look and see, can I simplify 35 over 36? I cannot, so I just leave my answer as that fraction. Okay, so that was more from Friday. That wasn't too bad. Now number 2 here, it's a little uglier because there's this plus 1/3. So earlier this chapter, we would clear the fraction, we'd find least common multiple. Today we're going to do a different method. I'm going to subtract over this 1/3, because just picture this as an equation like 3x plus 1 equals 9. I need to get rid of my least favorite friend first. So that would be this guy right here, which is the 1/3. So let me erase this and actually do the problem. So I'm going to subtract 1/3 from both sides. So I'm left with negative 3/4 x, and then equals this 9/12 minus 1/3. So if you have your calculator, you can use the fraction button. 9 fraction 12, enter, minus 1 fraction 3, enter, and it gives you your answer. If you don't know how to do that, or you don't have a calculator, you're going to have to do it by hand here. So I have minus 1/3. I need some common denominators here, so I need one for the 3. I need to multiply 3 by 4 to get 12. So I need to multiply the top by 4. So I have 9/12 minus 4/12. That gives me 5/12. Okay, now again, I need to write this x up here in the numerator. So I'm going to rewrite negative 3 times x over 4 is equal to 5/12. Now I can cross multiply. So the negative signs with the top number, that's fine. So I'm going to do negative 3x times 12, and then equals 5 times 4. So here I'll get negative 36x, and then equals 20. Okay, so now I will divide by the number in front of x. So divide by negative 36 on both sides. Yeah, scroll up here. Oops. Okay, so now if you can reduce, you want to. So negative 20, or 20 divided by negative 36. I'm just going to move the negative sign to the numerator. I can do that. Simplify that. If we divide both by 4, we should get negative 5/9. Okay, so now these are just getting a little funkier. So number 3, same idea. I need to move this 2/5 over by adding 2/5, adding 2/5. So I'm going to add to both sides. So these cancel. Now I have to get a common denominator again if you don't have your calculator. So I have 3/10 plus 2/5. So I'm going to change that denominator to a 10. So I had to times by 2 times the top by 2. So 2/5 is the same as 4/10. So I have 3/10 plus 4/10. That gives me 7/10. So write that there, and I have 1/2 x. Okay, let's move the x to the numerator here. So I have x over 2 is equal to 7 over 10. And then I'm going to cross multiply. So 10 times x equals 2 times 7. So 10x is equal to 14. Divide both sides by the number in front of x. So x equals, 14 over 10. Let's reduce that. So I divide both top and bottom by 2. So I should get 7/5 as my answer. Okay, now we have a couple problems down below that are a little bit different. All right, so we have m minus 2 over 9 is equal to 2/3. If we look, okay, it's in proportion format. We have a numerator, a denominator, numerator, denominator. So I can still use the cross multiplication method. But now I'm going to have the distributive property. So I'm going to do 3 times n minus 2. Okay, then I'm going to multiply the other diagonal. Okay, now distribute that 3. So you're going to get 3m minus 6, and then equals 9 times 2, which is 18. So I'm just going to solve my equation like normal. So add 6 both sides. So I get 3m equals 24. Divide by the number in front of m. All right, so m equals 8. So you could plug 8 in for m right here. You get 6 over 9 is equal to 2 over 3, and those are equivalent fractions. So we are good. All right, we got a couple more here. So number 5, again, it's in this proportion format. There's an equal sign in the middle. So I'm going to use cross multiplication again. So I have 4 times x plus 4, then equals 7 times 5. Distribute my 4. So I have 4x plus 16 is equal to 35. Minus 16 from both sides. All right, so then we have 35 minus 16. That gives us 19. And divide both sides by 4. So x equals 19/4. See if you can reduce that. It does not reduce. So let's just double check, make sure we did it correctly. So we distributed the 4, 16, and then we add 7 times 5, which is 35. So in this case, it's just a strange fraction. Okay, that happens sometimes. If it does, though, I like to just double check my answers and make sure we're all good. Okay, number 6 here. Again, we're going to distribute and cross multiply, but you see, there's a b in both denominators. That's okay, though. You'll see it's just an equation with variables on both sides. We've solved these earlier this chapter. So I'm going to have 3 and then parentheses b minus 4. Then I'm going to do 2 times parentheses 3b plus 4. Okay, now I need to distribute to both sides. So I'm going to get 3b minus 12 is equal to 6b, and then 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so we've solved equations like this before. I need to move my variables to one side, numbers to the other. So I look at my numbers in front of b. I have 3 and a 6. 3 is the smaller number, so let's move that one over here. So there's an invisible plus sign in front of this 3. So I'm going to do the opposite. Minus 3b, minus 3b. Make sure you have that b written there as well. So I'm left with negative 12 equals 3b plus 8. Okay, now I need to move the 8 over. So the opposite of positive 8 is minus 8, minus 8. So I have negative 20 is equal to 3b. Divide both by the number in front of b. So b is equal to negative 20 over 3. Check if you could simplify that or reduce. Okay, I can't divide by 3. I can't divide both by 2. So that is my simplified answer, negative 20 over 3. All right, we got 2 more down here, 7 and 8. Both have variables in 2 spots. So I'm going to show you how these work out. All right, so now number 7, Q is in the numerator on both sides. So actually this is very similar to number 6. I'm still going to cross multiply. I'm going to have this equation with variables on both sides when I'm done. Okay, so I just multiplied both diagonals. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute both sides. Okay, so let's look at our numbers in front of Q. I have 7 and a 10. 7's smaller, so let's move that one over. So I'm going to do the opposite of positive 7Q, which is minus 7Q. Okay, now I'm going to move the 55 over. Let me scroll down here. Okay, so the opposite of negative 55 would be positive plus 55. Okay, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. All right, so we have 69 divided by 3. So we should get Q is equal to 23. So I could plug in 23 up here for Q on both sides, and my fractions would be equal to each other, just multiples of one another. Okay, last one. We have a C on the numerator and denominator of the same fraction. Again, that's going to be okay because this diagonal is going to be on one side of the equal sign. This side is going to be on the other. So I have one diagonal, so 7 times C plus 1. And then that equals this other diagonal, which is 4 times C minus 2. So when I distribute, I have 7C plus 7 is equal to 4C minus 8. So I need to move this positive 4C over, so minus 4C to both sides. So I have 3C plus 7 is equal to negative 8. Let's subtract 7 from both sides. So 3C is equal to negative 15. All right, divide both sides by the number in front of your variable. So C should equal negative 5. Okay, and that is it for your notes for today.